Quick disclaimer, Learn from Mac is an independent educational project. We are not affiliated with, endorsed by, or sponsored by Apple, or any vendor or product covered in this course. Hey, welcome back to Learn from Mac. I'm Dennis, and today is day 22. Week 4 starts here, and it's all automation. Today we go past clicking through the GUI and get fluent in TMSH itself, the bridge between manual operation and real automation. Let's get into it. First, the goal. By the end of this lesson, you'll navigate TMSH's mode hierarchy fluently, create and modify LTM objects entirely from the command line, and write a reusable shell script that drives TMSH for repeatable, auditable configuration. Here's what you need: SSH access with admin or resource admin role, familiarity with virtual servers, pools, nodes, and monitors from days 03 through 07, and a lab partition to practice in, never production without a real change window. 2 concepts before we touch a prompt. Concept 1, the 3 shells. TMSH is the interactive tab completing shell for LTM and GTM objects. Bash drops you to the underlying Linux shell where you call TMSH non-interactively. Imish is the routing shell for dynamic protocols. Always know which one you're in. The prompt tells you Bash looks like admin at BIGIP1. TMSH looks like open parent TMO's close parent pound. Concept 2, list versus show and fully qualified paths. TMSH list dumps stored config exactly as it appears in BIGIP.conf. Ideal for diffing. TMSH show gives you live runtime state, current connections, health status, and every object lives in a partition path like /common/pool web. When scripting, always use the fully qualified path to avoid ambiguity. All right, 3 labs. First, we build a complete lab stack, nodes, monitor, pool, and virtual server, entirely from TMSH, verified before saving. Then live operational changes, switching load balancing method, adding a member without rebuilding the pool, graceful drain versus forced offline. Then a real bash script that audits every pool on the box and can drain a specific member by IP on demand. Let's get into it. Lab 1, 2 nodes, an HTTP monitor, and a pool referencing them, all from TMSH. The virtual server on top. Verify everything before saving. Yeah, pool members should show available. Lab 2, switch the load balancing method live, no rebuild required. Add a 3rd member without touching the existing 2. Graceful drain, finishes existing sessions naturally. Versus forced offline. Immediate, drops active connections, only for an emergency. Re-enable both and save. Lab 3, run a real audit script, checks every pool on the box, no drain yet. Same script, this time draining a specific member by IP across every pool it appears in. It only saves config when a real change actually happened. That's the safety discipline. And that's real CLI fluency, building, operating, and scripting BIG-IP without touching the GUI once. There are self-check questions on the lesson page worth sitting with, graceful drain versus forced offline especially, since picking the wrong one during a live incident has real consequences for active users. Take a minute with those. Quick recap before we go. Always know which shell you're in. Bash and TMSH prompts look different for a reason, and running the wrong syntax in the wrong shell is a common avoidable mistake. List shows stored config, show shows live runtime state. Reach for the right one depending on what you're actually trying to answer. Fully qualified paths avoid partition ambiguity, non-negotiable the moment you're scripting instead of typing interactively. And a script that audits before it acts and only saves config when a real change was made is exactly the discipline that makes CLI automation trustworthy. All right, that's day 22 in the books. A full lab stack built, operated live, and audited by a real script. That's genuine CLI mastery now, not just memorized commands. If this was useful, hit subscribe. You won't miss a single lesson. Next up is day 23, I control REST API. See you there.